Okay, Nashville, we need to talk. So, it became official today. The state of Tennessee is taking over all the airports. I'm going to call it what it is. This is a disaster in the making. Because what Tennessee is doing with airports now is massive, it's unprecedented, and absolutely going to cause chaos, especially for Nashville International Airport. Multiple outlets confirm that Tennessee lawmakers have moved to take control of airports across the entire state, including Nashville International Airport in Nashville, Tennessee, Memphis International Airport in Memphis, Tennessee, McGee Tyson Airport in Knoxville, Tennessee, Chattanooga Metropolitan Airport in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Tri-Cities Regional Airport in Blountville, Tennessee. The Tennessean reported that the state takeover will be final July 1st, 2026, meaning that the state is now asserting control over all major Tennessee airports. This is the biggest power grab over airport governance in Tennessee history. And here is why this is a huge problem for Nashville specifically. Nashville International Airport is not a small regional airport. It is the economic engine of the entire state, generating more economic activity than Blountville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Memphis airports combined. When the state seizes control over something that large, you get political appointees instead of aviation professionals. You get state-level bureaucrats overriding local needs, and you get bureaucratic gridlock. You get airport projects that are slowed or halted entirely. You get airlines reconsidering expansion because governance becomes unpredictable. And Nashville's metropolitan government has already been fighting this for years. Which brings me to my next point. Courts already ruled the takeover unconstitutional once before. In 2025, the Tennessee Court of Appeals ruled that the state's attempt to take over Nashville International Airport violated the Home Rule Amendment of the Tennessee Constitution. The court said that the state of Tennessee singled out Nashville and that the takeover is unconstitutional and Nashville metropolitan government retains control of the airport. Unfortunately, the ruling left some daylight for the state to keep pushing, and they did. Now they've expanded the takeover to all airports statewide, which is their workaround to avoid the singling out Nashville problem. They found a loophole and rammed it through. This has the very real potential to turn into a full-blown meltdown. Here's what airport experts are worried about. Politicized airport boards. Airport authorities are supposed to be non-political. When you replace aviation professionals with political appointees, you get delays, bad contracts, mismanaged expansions, conflicts with airlines, and lawsuits. And airlines hate instability. Nashville International Airport is in the middle of a multi-billion-dollar expansion. Airlines need predictable governance to commit to. New gates, new routes, new lounges, new maintenance spaces. If the board becomes a political circus, airlines will slow their investments. Nashville Airport is literally too big to screw up. Nashville Airport is literally amongst the fastest growing airports in the US right now. A governance meltdown here would affect a whole bunch of things, such as tourism, conventions, business travel, cargo, jobs, and tax revenue. This isn't like messing with the local county fair board. This is literally the beating heart of the Tennessee economy, and the timing is terrible. At the same time that the state is taking over airports now, they're also redrawing congressional maps, centralizing power, fighting Metro Nashville's government in court, pushing statewide control over local institutions. It's a pattern. The state versus Nashville, and the airport is the biggest prize yet. The bottom line is, this is a disaster in the making. The state is taking over Nashville International Airport, one of the most important airports in the southeast USA, after courts already said their earlier attempt was unconstitutional. They're doing it anyway by expanding the takeover statewide. This will cause endless legal battles, horrific operational instability, great airline hesitation, massive amounts of political interference, and huge economic fallout. And Nashville and Tennessee residents had zero say in it. This takeover will also affect everything currently at the airport. For example, expansion delays. Nashville International Airport's massive expansion, new concourses, new gates, and new roads depend on stable governance. A board shakeup can freeze contracts, slow approvals, and stall construction completely. So here's how Nashville International Airport's expansion actually works behind the scenes. Nashville International Airport's massive expansion isn't just some build gates and call it a day. It's a long chain of tightly linked decisions such as multi-year contracts with construction firms, architects, engineers, and consultants. Financing plans tied to bonds, passenger facility charges, and long-term revenue projections. Agreements with airlines about who gets what gate, and when and under what conditions. Regulatory approvals involving the Federal Aviation Administration, environmental reviews, safety standards, and airspace planning. All of that assumes one thing: stable and professional governance that doesn't change direction every time the political wind shifts. Here's what a board shakeup actually does in practical terms. When you suddenly change who sits on the airport board, especially if they're political appointees instead of aviation people, several things can happen. Contracts get paused or re-examined. New board members may want to review or audit existing contracts to put their own stamp on things, or reward different vendors. That can freeze work that's already in motion. 2. Approvals slow down. Every major new concourse, new road layout, new parking structure requires board sign-off. If the board is inexperienced, divided, or politically cautious, they drag their feet. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, sometimes months can turn into years. A good example of that is the newest airport in Berlin, Germany. 3. Priorities get shuffled. A professional board might prioritize capacity, safety, and long-term growth. A political board might prioritize whatever looks good in a press release this year. That can mean shifting money away from critical infrastructure to more visible projects. This in turn means staff becomes cautious, airport executives and planners start operating in cover-your-ass mode. Instead of pushing bold, necessary projects, they slow down, and they over-document, and wait to see what the new board wants, and the airport's momentum dies very quietly. So let's talk about why this is going to hit Nashville Airport at the worst time imaginable. Nashville International Airport isn't a sleepy regional airport. It's in the middle of new concourses to handle more flights and airlines, new gates to support growth from carriers like Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, United Airlines, and Allegiant Air. New roads and access improvements to keep traffic from becoming a total nightmare. These projects are all interconnected. If one piece stalls, like a roadway project or a concourse expansion, it can 1. Push back opening dates, 2. Increase costs due to delays in inflation, 3. Force airlines to adjust their growth plans, and 4. Make the passenger experience worse for not months, but years, or potentially years and even the next several decades. So when I say a board shakeup can freeze contracts, slow approvals, stall construction, I'm not being dramatic. I'm describing exactly how big infrastructure projects get quietly sabotaged not by one big explosion, but by 1,000 little delays and reviews. So now let's dive into likely airline reactions. Airlines hate, and I cannot understate this enough, they really hate unpredictability. Airlines don't care about politics. They care about stability, predictability, and money. And when a state suddenly takes over an airport board, especially one as large and as fast growing as Nashville, US airlines immediately start asking 3 questions. Question 1. Is this airport still stable? Airlines plan years ahead. When they add a route, a gate, or a crew base, they're making a multi-dollar investment. They need to know, will the airport leadership stay consistent? Will expansion projects finish on time? Will gate assignments remain predictable? Will fees and costs stay stable? Will the airport's long-term plan still be followed? A political takeover throws all of that into doubt. Airlines hate doubt. Question 2. Will this slow down construction? Every airline at Nashville International Airport, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, American Airlines, United Airlines, Frontier Airlines, JetBlue Airways, are all counting on the new concourses and gates being delivered on schedule. If the board changes, airlines worry about contract freezes, delayed approvals, new political priorities, budgets reshuffling, and leadership turnover. Airlines don't wait around. If they think a project is slipping, they shift growth to other airports. The airlines have dozens of options. Nashville doesn't. Question number 3. Are we about to get hit with higher costs? Airlines pay landing fees, gate leases, terminal rents, fueling fees, and facility charges. If a new political board mismanages finances or delays projects, costs go up almost immediately. When costs go up, airlines respond by cutting routes, reducing frequencies, delaying expansion, and moving aircraft elsewhere. Airlines are brutally pragmatic, and it's not because they don't care, it's because they have to, or there is a very real possibility that they will end up like Spirit Airlines. Question 4. Is this airport becoming unpredictable? This is the big one. Airlines operate on total predictability. Predictable leadership, predictable planning, predictable timelines, and predictable governance. A political takeover introduces turnover every election cycle, board members with no aviation experience, decisions based on politics instead of operations, conflicts between state and local government, legal battles that drag on for years. Airlines see that and think, we're not committing long-term until this settles. That means fewer new routes, fewer upgrades, and fewer investments. Question 5. Will this hurt the passenger experience? And the answer is an almost guaranteed huge yes. Airlines know that if the airport becomes chaotic, that passengers blame the airline, that delays will increase, that gate congestion gets worse, that construction drags on, and that customer satisfaction drops. Airlines don't want to be associated with an airport that's falling apart politically because of politicians and their poor choices. Question number 6. Do we need to rethink our growth plans? This is where the real danger lies. Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, they all have growth plans tied to Nashville International Airport's expansion. If they sense instability, they will slow down new route announcements, delay adding aircraft. They'll move crew bases elsewhere. They'll move and shift flights to competing airports, such as Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Charlotte Douglas International Airport, Chicago O'Hare International Airport, St. Louis Lambert International Airport, which are all Nashville International Airport's biggest rivals. Let's be clear. Airlines don't make emotional decisions, they make spreadsheet decisions. And any kind of instability is an instant red flag on any corporate spreadsheet. Now, let's dive into the economic impact this disaster is going to have and why this could and will likely blow up Tennessee's budget. Let's start with the big picture. Tennessee's airports aren't just transportation hubs, they're the largest economic engines in the entire state. According to Tennessee Association of Air Carrier Airports, the 5 major commercial airports, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Blountville, generate about $28.3 billion in total statewide economic impact, have 171,000 jobs supported, create $4.1 billion total in tax revenue, 1.08 billion of that is state taxes. That means airports are one of the top revenue generators Tennessee has. So when the state takes over the airport governance, they're not just messing with infrastructure, they're messing with a $28 billion economic engine. A bad takeover can literally damage the entire state's economy. Delays equal lost revenue. Airport expansions are designed to increase passenger capacity, airline operations, retail revenue, tourism spending, and business travel. If the board shakeup slows down Nashville International's airport's expansion, its new concourses, new gates, new roads, the airport can't keep up with the demand. That will mean fewer flights, fewer passengers, less spending, and lower tax revenue. And remember, Tennessee airports already warned lawmakers that aging infrastructure and inflation are straining their capacity. A slowdown now would therefore hit twice as hard. With airlines pulling back, it means immediate economic shockwaves. Airlines bring jobs, tourism, business connection, cargo revenue, hotels, restaurant spending, and intercity agreements. If airlines hesitate to expand because the airport becomes politically unstable, Tennessee loses future routes, future jobs, and future tax revenue. This isn't speculation, it's how airlines operate. They invest where governance is stable and predictable. It will also likely cause significant construction delays, which will result in higher costs. Airport construction is financially through. Bonds, passenger facilities, charges, federal grants, and long-term revenue projections. If political interference causes delays, the costs rise, the bond obligations increase, federal matching funds can be jeopardized, and projects may need emergency funding. And the Tennessee airports are already PFC constrained, meaning they're maxed out on what they can charge passengers to fund construction. If the state screws this up, the money has to come from somewhere else. And guess where that is? You. That's right. The state will simply up taxes to fund its airport projects that would otherwise not need your help. Then there's also the lawsuits. They cost millions in legal costs, and I'm not exaggerating on this one. Metro Nashville government already beat the state once in court over the airport takeover, and now the state of Tennessee is trying again with a statewide version. Legal battles mean state attorneys, outside counsel, appeals, and years, sometimes decades of litigation. And guess what? Those costs don't come from thin air. They come from taxpayer money. That's right. Once again, the common man will foot the bill. If the state takes over the airports and airport revenue drops due to either state interference or airlines cutting services, guess what happens? State taxes go up. Once again, you, the common man, is footing the bill. Tennessee airports generate over $1 billion in state tax revenue every year. If the takeover causes slower growth, fewer flights, less tourism, delayed construction. And the airlines pulls back, the state is going to be hurting. And Tennessee has no income tax, so the state relies heavily on sales tax, tourism taxes, business tax, and airport-related revenue streams. If those drop, the state has two options. Option A, cut services. Option B, oh look, once again you get to pay the bill because they're gonna raise taxes and fees. And historically, when Tennessee loses revenue, it raises sales tax, gas tax, vehicle registration fees, user fees, which are taxes with a different name. So yes, a botched airport takeover can absolutely lead to higher taxes for everyone, even people who never fly. Finally, let's get into my last deep dive here, passenger impact. Passenger impact and how this hits regular people first. Passengers are the first to feel the consequences of an unstable airport, long before the politicians who caused the mess ever do. And here's exactly how this is going to play out. 1, longer construction timelines. That's going to boil down to more congestion and more chaos. Nashville International Airport is already bursting at the seams. You know it, I know it, everyone who's ever tried to get through terminals at 5 a.m. knows this. The expansion, the new concourses, the new gates, new roads, they're all designed to relieve that pressure. But if the board shakeup slows down approvals or freezes contracts, passengers will get longer lines at the TSA, more crowded gate areas, pick concourses, traffic jams on airport roads, delays getting in and out of the terminal. Passengers don't see political interference. They see misery at 4:30 p.m. when they're trying to catch a flight. 2, more delays and cancellations. When an airport is under construction and under political turmoil, operational reliability drops, and here's why. Gate shortages cause aircraft bottlenecks, construction delays disrupt taxiways and ramp operations, airlines can't plan efficiently, staffing becomes harder when leadership is unstable. Passengers feel that as more late flights, more missed connections, more we're waiting for a gate announcements, more sitting on the tarmac. Airlines get blamed, but the root cause is airport instability. 3, fewer new routes and higher fares. If airlines slow down expansion because the airport becomes unpredictable, passengers lose new nonstop destinations, competitive fares, additional flight frequencies, seasonal routes, low-cost carrier growth, and like we have seen since the Spirit Airlines shutdown, less competition equals higher prices. Fewer flights equals more full planes, fewer options, and more headaches. Passengers pay for instability with their wallets, in the most literal sense. 4, worse passenger experience across the board. When governance becomes political, the airport's focus shifts from how do we improve the passenger experience to how do we navigate this political mess. That means slower upgrades to restrooms, seating, and amenities, delays in opening new lounges, fewer improvements to parking and ground transportation, less investment in customer service programs. Passengers feel the decline pretty much immediately. Number 5, security and staffing strain. Airport staff, TSA, ramp workers, gate agent, custodial teams, airport staff itself all rely on predictable operations. When leadership becomes unstable, hiring significantly slows, important training gets delayed, overall airport-wide morale drops, and turnover exponentially increases. Passengers feel that as longer TSA lines, slower baggage handling, more staffing shortage announcements, dirtier terminals, long waits for wheelchair assistance and special services. This is where many people will feel like the airport is beginning to slip first. 6, parking and roadway nightmares. Nashville International Airport's roadway redesign is one of the most complex parts of the expansion. If that gets delayed or mismanaged, traffic backs up onto I-40. And let me tell you, the interstates around Nashville are already bad enough as they are, especially Interstate 40. Parking garages undoubtedly fill up faster, the shuttle wait times will increase, drop off and pickup will become an even bigger disaster zone, and passengers don't care why it's happening. They just know they're stuck in a 30-minute traffic jam trying to get to their gate. 7. The death by 1,000 cuts effect. The real danger isn't one big giant meltdown. It's 100 small problems that slowly make the airport worse. A project delayed here, a gate reassignment there, a small contract frozen, a cost increase passed to airlines, several staffing shortages, an extreme construction slowdown. Passengers feel every single one of these, even when they don't know the exact cause. And then last but not least, let's talk about the part that absolutely everyone always forgets to talk about: the businesses. Businesses, specifically the ones at the airport, because businesses are going to be the hidden victims in this and why they will leave in huge numbers. Most people think an airport is just planes and gates, but inside the terminal is an entire mini city of businesses like restaurants, bars, retail shops, coffee stands, newsstands, duty-free shops, lounges, service providers, cleaning contractors, maintenance vendors, tech companies, construction firms, parking operators, and so on and so forth. These businesses survive on predictability, specifically predictable passenger flow, predictable construction timelines, predictable lease agreements, and predictable governance. When the state takes over an airport board and injects political instability, these businesses get hit harder and faster than anyone else. And here's how. 1. Lease instability, the silent killer. Lease instability is almost always a massive silent business killer. Airport businesses operate on long-term leases, like 5-year leases, 10-year leases, sometimes even 15-year leases. These leases are negotiated with the airport authority, aka the people who understand aviation, passenger flow, and terminal planning. When a political board takes over, leases get reviewed, terms get changed, renewals get delayed, contracts get frozen, new political priorities override business needs. Businesses can't operate under that uncertainty. So what they do is they leave. 2. Construction delays destroy revenue. Every business inside Nashville International Airport is counting on the expansion. New concourses will mean more foot traffic, new gates will mean more customers, and new terminal space will mean more retail opportunities. If the takeover slows construction foot traffic will drop, passenger flow becomes unpredictable, temporary closures last longer, and businesses lose money every single day. Airport businesses operate on thin margins. A few months of reduced traffic will literally kill them. 3. Political boards play favorites. This is the part that nobody wants to say out loud, but is absolutely true. When a board becomes political, contracts go to politically connected vendors. Existing businesses get pushed out. New businesses get chosen for political reasons, not quality. Minority-owned and small businesses get squeezed out first. This is how you end up with higher prices, lower quality, less variety, and fewer local businesses. Passengers lose, workers lose, and the airport loses. 4. Businesses can't plan for the future. Airport businesses often plan years ahead. Hiring, inventory, staffing, renovations, equipment upgrades, menu changes, supply chain contracts. When governance becomes unstable, businesses cannot plan anything. They don't know if their lease will be renewed, if their location will be moved, if construction will block their storefront, if passenger flow will change, or if the board will change again next election season. So they do the only rational thing. They leave for airports with stable leadership and for shops and restaurants outside of the airport, often in downtown or primary shopping areas. 5. Higher costs get passed to the businesses. If takeover causes delays, lawsuits, costs overruns, bonds issues, or budget shortfalls, the airport authority will raise rent, fees, utility charges, and concession percentages. Businesses can't absorb these costs, so they raise prices, cut staff, they reduce the hours, or they shut down entirely, and passengers will feel it almost immediately. And then 6, when businesses leave, the airport spirals. The domino effect is businesses leave, empty storefronts appear, passenger satisfaction drops, airlines complain, airport revenue fails, costs rise, more businesses leave, and the airport becomes less competitive. This is how airports decline, not overnight, but slowly, painfully, and visibly. And it always starts with bad governance. Guys, this matters. I'm not here in this video for clicks. I'm making it because what's happening right now affects every single one of us who flies, works, or lives in Tennessee. If we let the state destabilize the airport, we're the ones who pay for it. In delays, in higher prices, in lost business, in worse travel, and eventually in higher taxes. So pay attention. Ask questions. Please speak up. Because if we don't care now, we're going to care later when it's too late to fix it. This isn't about politics. It's about protecting the airport that keeps this entire region moving. Please, share this video around and let's try to put a wedge in the state's plans, as this would likely be very detrimental to our airports and to all of us in the long term. And I hopefully will see you again in the next video, guys. Thanks for checking in. Please feel free to share and like this video and spread it around as much as you can.